ongoing. And again, we have to apologize that we're not able to bring Johnny's by. Johnny's a bit under the weather. And Abdul Jawad Bashir is asking on our stream. He says, well, you still have, we'll be right back. So we just started the stream again. We apologize for not bringing Johnny's bites. Abdul Jawad Bashir. Ni Odate Mills. Good morning to you. Make sure you share the stream. Let's have some great conversation. Joining us from New York, I have Kwesi Mensah, Evans Ibn Samba, as well as many of you as well. Cash out with the Shoko star 439 hash. Let's have some great conversations ongoing. Choose option 2 as many times as you can. Make sure you increase the number of tickets you have. Shadai Adote, make sure you do that. Good morning to you. Laurentia, Ama, great morning to all of you. Kingston, Bisnap, Asemiga, please share the stream. Let's have some great conversation. So this morning we want to take a look at 2 critical issues. It's been a week since a directive or a statement was issued, Ministry of Education, Ghana Education Service, for secondary schools to have food purchases because of shortages that had been experienced. And we're told that now the schools have been given that mandate in the meantime. But we also know that as part of the 120-day promise of the John Mahama, Nana Jeno Puku Ajiman-led government, they said they were going to convene a stakeholders conference on education, especially taking a holistic view on not only on the sector, but the critical question we want to address this morning is how can we look at making sure we don't have shortages when it comes to food? How do we ensure there's a consistent supply of food across schools, especially secondary schools? Well, pardon me, and most schools, so I say secondary, senior high schools. All right. Now, let me just introduce to you the Chief Executive for the National Petroleum Authority, Eduji Tamaklu, legal practitioner as well. Good morning to you, Eduji.
Good morning, and good morning to my colleague gentlemen.
Great. And then Dr. Fred Amankwasafo as well. He is with the MPP. I know that one time he contested to be vice chair and then also chairmanship. So it was an aspirant, so to speak. He's here. Dr. Fred Amankwasafo, how are you?
I'm doing great and good morning. It's been a while.
Yes.
Good morning to our
He's an information systems specialist as well. He's an entrepreneur in that sector as well. And then, of course, lawyer Apia Dankwa. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Great. Will you be going to the court today?
No.
No. All right. And so we have to begin that conversation. We know that just a week ago that was done, but how do we want to ensure that consistently we have those food supplies? And Eduji, we know the directive was given. Do you have information that the schools have, at least the bulk of them, have the consistent supplies? The sourcing is supposed to be done by the management of the schools this time around, right?
Okay.
In the interim.
So once again, good morning to our cherished viewers and the opportunity to be here. And good morning to my respected colleagues here. Now, the issue, as you remember, is that President John Dramani Mahama on the campaign trail make a definite campaign promise that the issues associated with the implementation of free SHS ought to be addressed. Now, one of the critical issues that he raised had to do with the issues of feeding. I've always maintained that the schools have always been an integral part of growing the local economy, to the extent that if you empower the schools adequately, they begin to source everything within the localities. And that alone becomes a way to grow the local economy, because then you need people to supply all kinds of food, among other things, for the schools. Now, this campaign promise by H.E. John Dramani Mahama, he wants that campaign promise fulfilled. Among other things, is the promise, as it were, to sustain the free SHS. Consistent with that, the Minister of Education during his vetting, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, made the point that we're going to have a national dialogue on education, so that, unlike what our friends in opposition used to say, that review means cancellation, we would demonstrate to the good people of this country that when H.E. John Dramani Mahama said review, he actually meant review and nothing more. But we're clear in our minds that when it comes to double track, we will abolish it. That we're clear in our minds. We also made a promise that the situation where food distribution is so centralized creates its own bureaucratic bottlenecks, and that will get that thing off. And it is consistent with that this directive came from Ghana Education Service. As you're aware, the Director General of Ghana Education Service, Dr. Ofe or something, had been asked to go home. Now there's a new person coming, Professor Davis from UCC, consistent with the managers at Ghana Education Service. They would ensure that this directive would, particularly to regional directors, would be enforced. A week is too early in the day. I am very confident this will be done. Look, and I always ask, my school, in Nkwanta Secondary, the entire area of Nkwanta is where you grow or you can get the finest gari in the whole country. Now you are asking somebody or the beza or the headmaster of Nkwanta Secondary School to come to Accra to buy gari. I don't understand. When almost all the villages from Dediase, Cheso, Breweniase, Pusupu, Bontibo, everywhere in Nkwanta, they process gari. Why should they leave that place to Accra to come and buy gari? Why should somebody leave Sablugu Secondary School and come to Accra to buy rice? When almost everywhere in Sablugu, you can, even in your compound, you can grow rice. And so this whole idea by His Excellency the President, that the schools should be given the opportunity to purchase their own items within the locality, for me, is a step in the right direction. What we just need to do, because for the past 8 years, the schools have not had the opportunity to do this. And so at least it will take a week or two to put in place all these, who the vendors will be, the suppliers will be.
Did you know that in supply chain management, as far as that is concerned, you should have identified where the sources will be, because, for example, if you want to have an end product value addition made to pineapples, you should have identified the outgrowers, the location to the center or where the market is also very important when you're looking at the value chain.
My brother, we've all had the benefit of being in secondary school. What were we fed with? Hold on, bread, rice, you have your milk, you have eggs, maybe chicken if you are blessed.
Chicken where? Okay.
If you are blessed, you have your fish. So these basic items are matters that you can easily purchase within the localities. And look, I am aware of schools where in the past parents had to struggle. I've met, as part of the campaign, secondary school headmasters who will tell you that, look, lawyer, we are going through this challenge, but we cannot talk for fear of being what? Either transferred or what have you. And remember that we have been through a regime that, with respect, and I say this with all humility, for 8 years, you could hardly, with confidence and boldness, criticize the free SHS in good faith. Even when the criticism is in good faith, you could be transferred. And I have a classic example, La Presby, the then headmaster. Look, when in September, Nanado said the free SHS should be rolled out, September 2017, in fact, he was one of the principal, stakeholders in that whole engagement. What was his problem? La Presby started, they had chairs issue, kids were sitting on blocks with whatever, say, Dumo, wow, place on it. And this headmaster, unfortunately, criticized the whole process. This headmaster, he was moved from La Presby to GES Greater Accra office. His crime was that he opened his mouth to criticize the process. So I am confident that with the support of the minister of Education, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, the new Director General Ghana Education Service, they would ensure that His Excellency the President's vision for secondary education in Ghana would actually be implemented in fulfillment with our social contracts with the good people of this country. That I am confident of.
Okay. Dr. Mankwasafo, it is important, right, that we face off a system of supplies knowing that there are backups. Is that not critical to this conversation?
Right. Thank you very much, and good morning once again. Yes, it is critical, and like you rightly said, we need to look at the supply chain, the entire supply chain, and this is not a policy that hasn't been thought about. The MPP also, Dr. Yaose Educhum, made that pronouncement. The idea of having decentralizing of the supply of food to schools were discussed, and it's just unfortunate that the MPP did not win the election. Therefore, it's something that is welcome. It's a welcome.
I don't understand. You're saying that if the MPP had won,
yes,
they were going to decentralize it?
Because the decentralization of
Where did you hear that?
The Honorable Edichum made that statement in 2022 that the government was thinking about decentralization of the school supply of food items to secondary schools. For me, the idea that we are not able to give our secondary students enough food, it's a worrying phenomenon. It is something that we all have to look at it. Our children our brothers and sisters are all in the schools, and the implementation of the free SHS, laudable as it says, had its own teething problems, and decentralization of the food supply is one of the things that we should be thinking about. We welcome that policy. It is early days yet. Let's see how the government will do it. But beyond just decentralization, the availability of the food in these localities. Yes, you talked about Gari at
Nkwanta area.
Nkwanta area.
It means that cassava should be grown.
But Gari is not the only thing that will be supplied. So it's a whole. The number of food items that is required is quite a lot. So if Gari is there, we could have a situation where, okay, this is where we can get Gari. Let's get more of it and then give it to the others, where we can get plantain, where we can get beans, so that we have a platform that all these things, those who have, can distribute to the others who don't have. I agree that if we go through the decentralization, we are going to empower the local economy. Having the time to come to the center to get food item and transport it to the various schools are also enormous. Therefore, yes, I applaud the government for coming up with this policy, but this is not a policy that the MPP had not thought about. The Honorable Educhum made this pronouncement, and so we are carrying on. Let's find solutions to the teething challenges of feeding our children in the secondary schools.
What do you make of perhaps the onset about why we needed to have the conversation, to have this dialogue that had been promised to be undertaken? Perhaps you think the processes for having this conversation should have already started?
Well, the centralization of giving food to students had good plans, good policies. It was thought through, because look, when we were in school, when we were in secondary school, yes, we had buzzers and a lot of people talking about even sourcing of food items. So it's not every food item that you can source. My worry is that we import a lot of these things. If you look at the number, the quantity of tomato
paste,
puree that comes to our secondary from China. It's huge, and we have a lot of land available. So I thought that the government will be looking at growing out. So let's have our growers who will be growing food items to feed the secondary schools. It is important that we have a holistic view of it. If we pick it, okay, let's do it for 2 weeks. The directive that came from the Director of Education was for 2 weeks. So just 2 weeks, what happens after 2 weeks? Do we know anything that will come after 2 weeks? So let's have a holistic review of the food supply chain in our secondary schools, rather than picking up pieces and points of pieces of it. That is not going to help even solve the problem that is at hand.
In your view?
Yes.
In your view. So it means that, like Apia Dankwa, we need to have contingency measures already in place, but it also means that once the directive has been given, the business, the management of the schools, then I'm sure by now should have been in a position to be identifying where they can get what food, which ones are available in the local area for which secondary schools, which schools specifically at the senior high school level. Is that not the case?
So let me wish you a good morning.
Good morning.
Wish your lovely viewers a good morning. The first time meeting my brother Edwidi after his appointment, I haven't had the opportunity of congratulating him. So my brother, congrats on your appointment. And first time meeting dog here. Pleasure meeting you. Yeah. Are you not worried or are you not embarrassed that we are sitting here after all these years talking about supply chain in boarding schools? In fact, tomorrow, 28th January, will be the 98th anniversary of Achimota School since the establishment of Achimota School.
Achimota School is 98?
8 years tomorrow. Let me wish all our Christ happy anniversary and all Ghanaians, because Achimota School is one of the biggest prize of Ghana. But I'm bringing this up because for over 98 years, Ghana, boarding schools in Ghana have been in the business of purchasing food to service their their dining halls and to feed children. So it's quite worrying that after all these years, we are sitting here this morning discussing supply chain issues. And it's even more worrying where after 8 years of an attempt to implement or at implementing a free SHS, we hear that next year the NPP were looking at, as if they had won the elections, they were looking at decentralizing what's called the supply of food items. In fact, let me take this opportunity to read scripture. Luke 14:31, and you can open Luke 30. Luke 14:31. It says that, oh, what king going out to wage war against another king will not sit down first and consider whether he is able with 10,000 to oppose the one who comes against him with 20,000. In 2014, thereabout, when Anado promised the free SHS, I think an interview was conducted in one of the international media houses, and a clear question was asked of him: how do you intend to finance free SHS? Because having had free SHS as a campaign promise in 2008, having repeated it as a campaign promise in 2012, one would have thought that a deep thinking had been had into how they were going to implement the free SHS. Because when you say free SHS, essentially, it's about the government deciding to finance education. Essentially, prior to government decided to finance boarding, as an education, including boarding education, the schools had their own systems of purchasing food. Prior to, so it's not as if free SHS began boarding or education in Ghana. Prior to government deciding that we are going to finance.
They did.
There was already in place a system
for purchasing,
which was not centralized, for all intents and purposes, which was not centralized. You understand? Now, free SHS was brought to finance secondary school education. So really, if we are going to be candid, the free SHS really is a finance issue. Now, because no plan, because free SHS, and this is me having had the benefit of the 8 years of implementation, where you have a policy which was not born out of a deep-seated commitment to solve problems, but which was born out of somebody realizing that, listen, I have to become president at all time, at all costs. I clearly do not have a vision. So let me throw something out there to convince people to support my ambition to become president. From how it's been implemented, and hearing that after 8 years, the MPP are saying that if they had won power, they were going to decentralize it. Clearly, this is a case of a king deciding to go to war without sitting down to analyze, to strategize, to have a plan as to how he was going to wage that war. And so we've had a situation over the past 8 years where school children, Ghanaian children, have been fed with weevil-infested food. There's a fact, there's not an opinion. That last year, we had stories of Ghanaian students being fed with food which was deemed to have been past their past.
Boshisho rice.
You understand? Clearly, with all the issues that, as in the disruption in our educational system, the structure, the what's called the double track, and its negative impact. You get a picture. All the confusion in the system. It clearly tells me that the free SHS was just a promise without commitment by somebody who felt that he needed to be president but had no plan. Because you see, when you take free education, you go to the US, the most capitalist society. Their high school is free. Their public high school is free. Now the question is, how do they finance it? Because there's a clear plan in the US. Now, because they've managed to properly decentralize their educational system, you know, in their high schools, they have what we call the school districts.
Yeah.
So the district itself, through property, the collection of property tax, finance the free education there. Also, the state a mixed provision for a bit of the funding, and then the federal government pays less than 10% of the funding.
And they don't have a boarding school system, so it makes it easier to remove them. Because
so there are boarding schools in America, but the boarding schools
for the very rich people.
are essentially private. You understand? Now we need to have the first is here. We need, as a people, to have a radical review of the free SHS, especially in terms of how it's going to be financed. Because for a country where we fall short of the West African treasury in terms of revenue mobilization,
in relation to GDP, you mean?
Yeah, we fall radically short. You understand? We cannot be taking upon ourselves financing of education without having a comprehensive plan. First of all, in Ghana here, it is right that most of the very top schools, most of the schools, is their alumni practically funding their schools. Have government thought of the introduction of, let's say, PPP in how some of these schools are going to be managed? So you can have a system where, what's it called, like 70-30, where 70% of people who enter into some of these schools pay, and then 30% is reserved for scholarships, both need-based scholarship and merit-based scholarship.
Well, that would be just an option that you are proposing.
But essentially what I'm saying is that we must have a
because there are schools that this is not plausible.
That's what I'm saying. We must have a conversation. We need to have a comprehensive conversation
on the funding
as to how free SHS is going to be funded. Because you see, if there's one advantage secondary school has, boarding school granted all of us. For those of you who went to the old system, that because it was one stream, it wasn't double. There was a social capital that you gain from going to boarding school. Those of the people who went for the as in the old system, they had the opportunity of building connections with about 13 streams. Because if you went to Form 1, you had 6 people ahead of you, your mates, and then by the time you finish, you'd have had the opportunity of meeting 6 people. Now with this, and for those of us who went to SS, it was like 5. Now for those of the people who are now doing what's called double track, practically this system has swept away any social benefit they are going to gain from going to school. Because having education, holistic education, is not just about the academics. Because you are training the human being. We said we are training the head, the heart, and the hands. I think
so the moral, the networking.
You understand? This free SHS has wiped that away. Now you want to talk about sports. Have you been following sports in secondary schools now? Have you been following? So you see, we need to be able to implement this free SHS without diluting the holistic value of education in this country. And to do that, my view is that, listen, it's a fantastic policy, fantastic idea. Let us have a conversation as to how we are going to finance this free SHS, the holistic one. You understand? let us find innovative ways in which we are going to raise funding for this without diluting all the various aspects of education. Because this issue about this centralization or not centralization, for me, is much ado about nothing, because we had a system in place already.
That was already running.
And working.
Okay.
You understand? Why do you what could negatively impact that because we are struggling with the finance?
Eduji, it will mean that we need to do or undertake this dialogue as quickly as possible. Because then all the stakeholders, whether politicians or political stakeholders, those in education, those in industry, etc., could also bring the ideas to bear, because it looks like all the critical sectors seem to be having varied or maybe one consonant ways by which they want this undertaken. So
Like,
when do we have this? What's the promise from the government?
So you see,
Of course, led by the Minister of Education.
absolutely, and the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, a very distinguished lawyer, politician, with enough, knowledge to navigate the complexity of the problems within our educational sector. You see, whilst here, a very senior lawyer sent me this, and this is what he said. I was the board chairman of my former school. We had a tender committee which received tenders from prospective suppliers for the supply of various food items for the year. It was a very transparent system, and I think we should reintroduce that system. You understand?
This pre-implementation of free SHS?
Before free SHS came. You understand? My mother, Faustina Nelson, was here, sent me something. He said, look, many years ago, the schools had buzzers and matrons.
Yeah.
And they knew within the localities who can supply them A, B, C, D items. That system, we have not shown that it was not fit for purpose. However, what we have seen, rather, is that what was introduced for the past 8 years is what rather created a problem. Yes, it cannot be said that post or pre-free SHS introduction, there were no challenges in our schools. No, God forbid. They may be. But they were properly managed, because there was a local understanding and knowledge within that sphere, reservoir of knowledge over the period. So I don't think that we are going to invent or reinvent the wheel. The structure is already there. And like Malene Senior pointed out, there was a way to do it and make it work. You see, education, like I always say, is the foundation of everything. It is what it is, the alpha and omega. Because if your educational systems are not properly done, the outcome will not be. I mean, all of us on this platform are product of before free SHS. Yeah. Was there any doubt about our quality? Look, was there any doubt? No. Was there any doubt about our quality? No. So I have always had in mind, free SHS is a good thing. In fact, in the superior wisdom of the framers of the 1992 Constitution, they had always said free education, secondary education, ought to be done progressively. As to whether 30 years was enough for a progressive rollout, it's a matter for a different conversation. John Dramani Mahama, the president, has made a firm commitment to the good people of this country that under his watch, he is going to strengthen secondary education and how it is implemented. Look, there's even a bigger challenge which may be coming up.
Which is what?
The textbooks.
Yeah.
You see, he read the Bible a while ago. Sometimes you wonder whether H.E., the former president Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, had the benefit of some of this scripture. Look, which one of us here, and doctor including here, will start an educational whatever curriculum change without textbooks? Not for a year, not for 2 years, many years. But at the same time, we had money to prioritize PASCO for our kids. So sometimes it's a simple question of priority. I read something online. A stalwart of the MPP, Musa Superior, make the point that at the time the government could not pay, what shall I say, NAPCO trainees, persons associated with the president were being paid for contracts that they educate. So you could see that even within the MPP at that time, there were people who had legitimate concern, but for fear of voicing out some of those concerns. I am happy the air of freedom that the coming in of John Dramani Mahama had brought to this country, that today even members of the MPP, very leading members of the MPP, can voice out concern that some of us sat here, said, and were rebuked, criticized, mocked, ridiculed. Today they are coming back and telling us the same story. I am encouraged with this new air of freedom going on. Let us all together ensure that we make Ghana education, basic, secondary, the junior high school, the very best for the kids that are coming up. For me, I want to look back Ghana 10 years after, 20 years after, and say what H.E. John Dramani Mahama has done has left a lasting legacy. That is all my prayer this morning.
Dr. Mankwasafu, it's very important, right? We convene this stakeholders engagement because it looks like while we're preferring solutions, whether it's from the ministry and then also around this table as well as other fora, when we have one-stop conversation as promised, then all the ideas will be put on one table and we can move forward from that. Yeah, rightly so. And I think that we all have to contribute to that conversation when it comes up. But you see, sometimes I'm confused about those who are criticizing the free SHS. Yes, you read the scriptures. What do you mean by criticism? The point is that if you're going to wait until you have everything in there, have we looked at the number of people who would not have attended Achimota Secondary School? There are people who are now in Achimota Secondary School, for the life of them, may never have had the opportunity to go there, but for the free SHS. The number of students who have had the opportunity to attend secondary school has increased. So at one point, it is a fantastic idea. At another point, we would have to wait until everything. Children are growing up. So we should leave the majority of them to be on the streets, to be uneducated. And you have made a point that for us sitting on this table, it is because of education that we are. Who has said that those who don't have access shouldn't be given access? But if had it not been free SHS, majority of students who have now passed that and some of them are in our universities would not have had the opportunity to go. Majority of students who are in this first class schools, class A schools, would not have had the opportunity to go. So there are positives. Every initiative will have its own challenges. And these are some of the teething challenges that need to be addressed. So addressing the challenges does not defeat the idea or the importance of bringing up the nobody has said that. That's why the impression being created. Now he made a point that somebody did not have. Where did you get that impression from? From this table. From this table. we heard that there had been the former president initiated the free SHS in 2017 without deep-seated commitment. I mean, if you make a statement like this, it's so unfair because look, it was started in 2008. The free SHS did not start in 2016. 2008, President Akufo-Addo made a commitment that he was going to implement if he had the opportunity. We did not get the opportunity. In 2012, that statement was made. So for 3 consecutive elections, we have made that point that we're going to. So it cannot be that because, of course, everybody has a reason for contesting. So do we say that Don Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, contested the election because he didn't have a commitment for one or two things that he has said? In 2016, when they lost the election, was it because he didn't have commitment? Are you saying that you start an initiative without having any commitment? And honorable lawyer, if somebody is transferred from school to Greater Accra Regional Office, so
Those working at the Greater Accra Regional Office, is it for punishment that they are there? Sometimes, you see, we make statements. Yes.
No, you see, Doc, when the transfer is contemporaneous with an event, right, then the logical conclusion is that A, B, C, D. And look, Doc, outside the camera, we had the opportunity.
We had a number of incidents. There was the guessing, there was a number of incidents.
A number of incidents of where he's going to, where the person is going to. If somebody is transferred to the Greater Accra,
you're saying that if headmasters, leading educationists, had raised concerns or taken decisions for which, even though the guidelines said they should have a recourse to the Ghana Education Office or the Ministry of Education, that was not undertaken, they are punished. You are saying that should not be cited?
I'm not sure why.
Is that what you're saying? That it should not be cited?
I'm not sure why you're saying. I'm not sure why you are saying they are punished. Being transferred is punishment. Is that what you want us to understand? That you have been transferred from one portfolio to another is a punishment? Do you recall the incident in St. Augustine where even the Old Students Association had to come up consistently, issue a statement, but at the same time, for which we had the Ghana Education Service going ahead to institute punitive measures against the individual? For what? For going against the directive? For going against, for so-called breaching guidelines. Oh, so-called? Were there guidelines?
Well, and this were
there guidelines?
And this
so long as the rules
as well
exist,
as others were related to decisions they are taking apparently without recourse to proper authorities.
Roland.
In relation to their supervision and management of this very policy.
So long as there is a guideline, until that rule is set aside, you have to follow the rule. I mean, we cannot. There's no conversation on this issue. There are guidelines, and you have committed yourself to these guidelines, and then you go against the guidelines. For me, even the transfer of it. When we were in secondary school, I remember Ghana Secondary School. You
went to Ghana Secondary School?
Yes, Kofodia.
Do you have any of your children in secondary schools currently?
Yes, I have. I have.
The public school?
Yes, the public school.
So let me ask you a situation where the parent-teacher associations are no more the composition that they used to be.
Yeah.
And this was experienced within the last couple of years, where the teachers could not make decisions at a PTA level, now 10 parents association level, because they were worried that their input and decisions thereof taken could jeopardize their jobs. That is an atmosphere that doesn't ensure that those experienced in education who are living it perhaps can contribute to improving the policy.
Yes, I agree that parent-teacher associations are
That's why I asked you whether you have children.
Yes, I do have. I agree that they play important role in education, and that we cannot take that away. But for all this number of years, there are a lot of people who did not have access to education. From 2008, 2012, 2016, today we are being told that the free SHS is a fantastic idea. So fantastic ideas should not have any challenges. Now, when we were going to, especially 2016, when others were preaching against the implementation of the free SHS, we needed to come into office and do it to show them that, look, this is doable. The challenges notwithstanding, it can be corrected. I'm sure that as we go along, since the implementation of free SHS, there have been challenges.
Okay.
Everybody knows there have been challenges. And then as we go along, we are going to correct them. So today, on this table, one point says that it's a fantastic idea. The another point says that we shouldn't have done it. We didn't have commitment. All these things
Who has said it?
Lawyer said that a number of times. He said that the former president didn't have commitment. He just wanted to be a president. That was why he brought up the free SHS. And I think that's unfair. Let us understand that no matter what you do, no matter the initiative you come up with, no matter the innovation that comes up, there will be challenges. And the fact that there are challenges does not defeat the importance of the policy. The policy is fantastic. If the policy is fantastic and there are challenges, let's find solutions to these challenges and not just throw the baby with the bath water. Is the free SHS good or not? Is it good or not? Should we call?
Is the question a simple binary conversation where it is
executive? Okay, yeah.
It is good, right?
Yeah. So let me have a contribution from the executive director for the Institute for Education Studies, Dr. Peter Ante. Good morning to you, Dr. Ante.
Good morning, Roland.
Okay, great. Now, I know that over the last couple of weeks, you've contributed to this discussion, but we're at a point in time where just a week after a directive was issued by the Ministry of Education, Ghana Education Service, for food supplies to be made in contingency, we now asking the question that don't we need the dialogue coming soon than promised? Because then all your views will be aggregated, one platform. How quickly should that be done to resolve some of these teething problems?
Thank you very much. I think that the food supply was an urgent situation. I remember that I spoke to your colleagues and I indicated that I was even thinking that they would have set up a committee like they did with the energy situation so that they will quickly deal with it before they get a minister for education. Fortunately, the president indicated that he's asked the chief of staff to handle it, which means that it was an urgent situation for the government too. I think that the minister would have to settle in, understand the situations on the ground, and then get good hands, competent hands, to lead the conversation that he would want to undertake. I think that is what maybe they are putting together. And understand that there are a lot of consultations are ongoing in trying to assemble the best to look at the situation at hand. So we might have to give the minister a little time while the interim measure of allowing headmasters to buy their own foodstuffs is in place. And I just hope that this will not go beyond February.
All right. So you're saying that by at least by the close of February, the date should have been announced, or the event should have been convened, which is which? Because your institution will be one of the key stakeholders.
I'm saying that by the end of February, we should kickstart the conversation around the future of our educational system, focusing on all areas, especially the free senior high school. That's been a topical issue over the past 8 years.
Around this table, it looks like the summation of the views is that we need to find some solutions to the funding, and that it's the reasons why we're having all these difficulties about food supplies, whether it has to be decentralized, nationalized, or centralized, etc. Is that true?
Yes, I think I've done a lot of work in this area, and I have said that 90 to 99% of the challenges of the policy is funding. I know that there are two main sources of funding for the policy, the APSA and the government of Ghana. And we all know that anytime there are challenges within the fiscal space of the government, it relies solely on the APSA, which is a source that is not infinite. So when there are challenges in the oil sector, it means that that money will not be readily available to support this important policy. And that is why I agree. Both the SPP and the SPP in that manifesto indicated that.
Okay. Hello, Peter? Peter? Looks
Can you hear me?
Yeah, your reception was a bit bad. Your conclusion,
Okay.
your conclusion was what?
Yeah, so I'm saying that we need a sustainable mode of funding for the policy. And I'm saying that it matters not the mode that you take. I think that when the conversation is carried to the people of Ghana, the people of Ghana would agree on a certain mode by which we'll be able to fund this policy. And I think that would be the best way to ensure that everybody benefits from the policy. Eternity, let me put it that way.
All right. Thank you very much. We just wanted your input. And how soon should this dialogue take place? You wanted to react to Dr. Fred Amankwasafo, but let him have his.
So, in fact, after I listened to Etudog, I'm even more convinced that Nana Addo didn't have any commitment.
Oh, please. You can make those statements, lawyer Pierre Dankwa.
I'm saying again, let me reiterate. That after listening to Doug, I'm even now more convinced that His Excellency, Nana Akufo-Addo, did not have any commitment.
Oh, how?
You understand? Except that this was a man who wanted to be president and didn't have any plan. Now, why am I saying that? He said in 2008 it was his campaign promise.
2012.
It was. And during that period, he did not have any strategy, any plan as to how he was going to fund this.
You remember the interview?
Exactly. You understand? He didn't have any plan how he was going to fund this. And so to make an argument, and that argument that the people call, it's good. Marriage is good. Marriage is good.
I don't understand.
But marriage is good. But would you advise a brother who doesn't have a veranda to go and marry? Marriage is good. So the fact that FreeSH is good doesn't mean that when you don't have a plan how to fund and sustain same, you should do it. And that's why I call it for a review. I'm getting about building, having a house is good. Having a house is good. But would you advise that because having a house is good, then anybody, how, it doesn't matter how the person gets the money to, so just the argument that FreeSH is good.
It's not good enough.
It's good, it's lame. Okay. You understand? So listen, FreeSH is good. No two ways about it. But we must find a way of funding it sustainably. But in any case, because they didn't have a plan, and a problem which was a purely finance issue, they waded into so many other places, including the supplies, including the change of the curriculum, including the textbook issue. So a problem which was essentially a financing issue. Because FreeSH is simply a program whose focus was to finance
the education of people.
Yeah, that was the essence of FreeSH. But
that was not the only.
Please let me.
Make your point.
You are saying the main objective is to extend the education at secondary school level.
Free SHS. You see, so you tell people that free SHS. What does it mean? You understand? So if you also had an issue with the curriculum, if you had an issue with, let's say, the
I don't understand. Are you saying that because the main objective was to increase access, so they shouldn't tinker with curriculum content?
We need to compartmentalize things properly so we can deal with the issues well.
Okay.
So when you are talking about FreeSH, it is a pure finance issue. When you talk about issues about curriculum change, that's a different issue which has nothing to do with free SHS. You understand? I'm saying the FreeSH is a purely finance issue. How you are promising that you are going to finance education such that everybody in this country would go to secondary school. It's a pure finance issue. So then your strategy is, how do I raise the financing to achieve that?
And that's where we are currently.
And I'm saying that all the confusion in the secondary schools now, there's double track system. You understand? Gold, green, and all the issues is because there was no plan, there was no strategy. And so because of the lack of strategy, we've had a situation where there is chaos in the education system. Because see,
chaos?
Can you predict? So when I was going to school, I knew that in January, I think first or second week in January, every first or second week in January, the year will begin. I knew that come April, you understand, you could predict when you go to school. Right now, can you predict right now in Ghana here? You don't know
if you are taking the annual educational calendar.
Yeah, can you predict? You don't even know when school starts now in Ghana. You don't. So the instance where you are then school is, you must go to school, let's say the next day. That was an issue where GS advised us that, listen, don't allow the kids to start school because there's no food. All the chaos in the system. And my brother was talking about he was talking about impressions. You see, so let's talk about impressions here. Now you create a system where nobody can criticize. Suddenly nobody can criticize FreeSH. Nobody can share a view about FreeSH. Now, so that when immediately somebody gives a contrary opinion, headmasters, people in the system, then they are transferred. What kind of impression is that? And it didn't happen once, it didn't happen twice. Because suddenly, now the NP people are telling us that they created the Caesar. Yeah, you understand? They shouldn't come and tell us that. Because if they do not have courage, if they do not have courage, when the man was given this Koshoko leadership, They should come and pretend and
you
start.
keep calling the...
It's a Koshoko leadership. Is a leadership that is so deficient that there's a fundamental distortion of a fiscal. There's a fundamental distortion of Ghana because of the Koshoko leadership. I'm saying that Ghanaians should open their eyes wide. Suddenly, MPP people who were mumu, who couldn't talk.
Oh, mumu how?
They couldn't talk. You see, when you're president of Ghana, you see, when you're president, when Nanado's ran here, Musa Superior, why didn't he give those his criticism when Nanado when Nanado was still president? I hear Honorable what's called the former MP for Subin. What I'm saying is that if they didn't have the courage when Nanado was president to criticize when a clear wrong was being done in a country, you didn't have the courage to criticize. Now the man has gone, he's sleeping, and suddenly you can find your mouth. Listen, if you're mumu over the past 8 years, continue to mumu. If you're mumu in the past 8 years, continue to mumu. Let those of us who have the courage to speak continue to speak, because you created a Caesar who didn't see the wisdom in listening to diverse views. The headmasters were the ones operating the free SHS. When they give you, then you are what's called transfer. To the extent that PTA, I'm coming.
Dr. Ferreira, that's not the case. Even though I've cited instances.
So suddenly, Doctor, he took us.
Oh, please.
They're all scared. Listen, the fact of the matter, they're all scared to talk, to criticize a wrong being done in our country. You understand? Listen,
have I criticized any wrong
I say you're all scared to criticize. The point is that whether or not people were transferred after they raising issues, it's a matter of fact. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. The fact is that you mentioned the Senator Kessin's one. You understand? So then when you are talking about impressions, immediately somebody criticizes this free SHS. It was like nobody should touch free. Then you transfer the person. You understand? You even destroyed the PTA. So right now it's PA. The people in NPP have sat down and created a scenario similar to the Empress New Cloth. That's exactly what happened. The NPP sat down, allowed sycophancy. You understand? Allowed sycophancy. So where the president was naked, they kept on praising him. Now listen, your cloth is beautiful. It took small boys like ourselves.
Your statement.
You understand? It took small boys like ourselves to have the courage to tell the president, listen, you are naked. You are disgracing our country.
I mean, these two.
We're discussing education.
Listen.
Okay.
No. Listen. You know, it's critical. You understand? Listen. Free SHS has come. It's going to stay. But for it to be sustainable, you understand? Then there must be a fundamental review. Okay. 2, fortunately, that air of Caesar is gone. So now people can criticize. But my only advice is that the people who are mumu over the 8 for last 8, they should continue being mumu. Because rather they've lost any credibility to be talking now. That's what I'll say.
I have this one from Sako Joseph Fanani. He says, Sako Joseph Timpani. He says, I'm a teacher at the basic school level. I can tell you that the 2024 basic BEC candidates wrote the exam without seeing the textbooks and the current curricula from my perspective, because I teach there. So what are we saying? That's the reality. And then this one is coming from Seth. Seth says, let me give you a recollection. Roland, it seems that you don't want to accept that there was a transfer. In 2017, Teshi Presec headmaster was transferred because he had experience to provide tables and chairs for their children since the school didn't have adequate tables and chairs for the free SHS students. Other heads also suffered similar transfers in their bid to make it comfortable for students. So that's the reality. And you have to say it as it is. And say good morning to Chairman Kweku Sprayer. Good morning to you. I wish you all the best. And we'll have other conversations as well. But look,
see,
let me move on to...
Of information.
Yeah, I wanted to move on to Galamsey.
Yes, but you see, the minister during his vetting raised this important issue, that the educational dialogue will have it by middle of February. Because you see, if you look at the speed at which HE, the president, is moving, as at yesterday, he had put together the National Economic Dialogue with the likes of Professor Gachi, among others, eminent economists, to advise the way forward on the economy.
Okay.
It is the same thing that is going to do relative to education. And the minister had given the firm assurance that by middle of February, we will have that conversation. It is good for all of us. And this time round, it's my prayer that the MPP do not come in. You remember Senchi?
Yeah.
When the likes of Nanaya or Safmafo agreed initially to be part of the conversation, only for the party to say no, he should withdraw from the process. This time round, let all of us, MPP, NDC, let's take advantage of this new era of free speech, freedom that had come, and participate in building a nation that we can all be proud of. Our education, never again should we allow a politician to play with education. Look, the education free SHS conversation was built on propaganda. Trust me. No. Look, you see, it was built on propaganda. Look, at a point during the campaign, if you recall, our friends in the MPP made a conversation that 5 million people were beneficiaries. But we do know that it was in the region of 3 million. But look at this. Consistently, in terms of our educational data, it has been a consistent movement because of population growth. But the impression was created that but for free SHS, you and I would not even have had education. How could that be?
But that is not true.
Exactly.
That is not what the fact is. You and I, we did not go to free SHS. So
Mr. Alpha says,
hold on, we went to secondary school.
Mr. Alpha says, so is the essence of the free SHS for students
of people who
to have the opportunity to attend Achimota schools and the big schools only, or is it only for students to attend in large numbers and come out?
No, but even the issue of Achimota, I think we need to clarify.
All right.
It. Was it the case that the issue, so free SHS, did they resolve the problem of access of finance? What exactly did they resolve?
Both.
Good. Both. So hold on. So I agreed. Assuming that this is your claim, the young man who possibly got admission to Achimota Secondary School, is it your case that by for free SHS, young people, as many years ago, Nanaya Osafmafo himself said that when he got admission to Achimota Secondary School, he was coming from Achimota. Hold on, I beg you. He was coming from
What was the population then?
Look at this, what's the name?
He's making a point.
What was the population in Ghana then?
So, you see, now you have raised another issue.
Yeah,
so you have created an impression.
That is why we need a dialogue.
Exactly.
It's very important.
So,
all right.
But this dialogue,
we should know that. We should know that persons from underprivileged communities have always had access to Achimota.
Let's spend the next
from antiquity.
Let's spend the next 20 minutes on
Edward Muhammad,
on illegal
the medical
mining.
doctor.
It's very important. Okay.
Edward Muhammad, the medical doctor. These persons have had access to some of the best secondary schools, even from underprivileged communities.
There is an alarming situation, and we know that, well, the issue of illegal mining had become a very topical issue over the last year, even, I'm sure, wading into the issues of the campaign. Now, critically also, we're told that there are elements in currently the Tano and Ria Forest Reserve mining illegally, and these pictures were obtained as early as yesterday morning. They are inside a reserve. Ideally, we're told that promises within the campaign, there was promise, Eduji, by John Dramani Mahama, all of you in the campaign. Now you've assumed office. Why do we have people in the Tano and Ria Forest mining?
The source of the information is a man with enormous credibility when it comes to issues of Galamsey, and that is Erastus Asari. Darko or Donko, sorry. Donko, good. So I will not sit here and say the source of information is not credible. He comes to the table with a lot of credibility relative to. I have no doubt in my mind that H.E. John Dramani Mahamad's commitment to ensure our forest reserves and water bodies are protected will be carried out to its logical conclusion. as at yesterday, when you shared the news, I had to quickly begin to have conversation with persons within the industry, particularly from the security sector, that the location is known. If the location is known, then it's the responsibility of somebody to take action. That I know from very reliable source, that these persons will be zoomed on. And so I know that something is going to happen on it. You see, one thing I take inspiration from is the appointment of my brother Sami Jemfi to the Gold Board. You see, the whole idea is to have a situation where Ghanaians are going to play a critical role in this whole gold whatever. Now, if at the end of the day you engage in this illegal mining, what you are doing is that you are going to basically affect your own source of livelihood. So those who are engaged, there's a new era. And that new era is an era that is founded on ensuring that the right thing is done. Please, 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 if you are in the deep forest, remember the penalties associated. Once you are caught, you are doing no less than 15 years imprisonment. You can do something best and better. So, fellow countrymen who have found yourself in any forest, near any water body, be careful, because the law enforcement officers are coming, and they are coming, and they will come at you. So go back. There's going to be a whole conversation as to how we'll proceed with mining in this country. And we'll ensure that those who engage in mining in our water bodies will be severely punished. That is the firm commitment of H.E. John Dramani Mahama to the good people of this country. I say no more.
All right, so that's a commitment. So what's the action then? Is it being investigated?
Yes, that's what you see, not much I can put out. If you are investigating somebody and you tell him A, B, C, D are the actions, you are basically preempting the person to take other steps. And that's why, cautiously, I've tried to navigate off putting out direct intel as to what will be happening going forward.
Fred,
Well,
the subject of illegal mining.
well, I'm happy that you brought this up, and it is good that we also take this conversation up. Illegal mining has to be nipped in the bud, and therefore, if any action that would stop people from illegally mining our water bodies in our forests, I think it should be welcome. But this is now welcome to the table. Now you see how you're going to fight it. And then we are here to support. I'm sure that the NPP will not look on. Whatever you're going to do to ensure that we are not going to have illegal mining in our water bodies will be a welcome idea, because it's affecting all of us. No matter where you are in this country, you will be affected one way or the other by the illegal activity of these people. Therefore, yes, let's see how the way you have mentioned, let's see how it goes. We can only wish you well. But the point is that it is not going to be an easy fight.
Why can't it be an easy fight? I know that you come from an area where, for time immemorial,
yes,
but the scale at which I have always known people who have done galamsey.
Yeah, you have?
Yeah, I've always, since I was a child, or a young man, so to speak. But the scale on which we're having chamfines and other things on that scale, polluting our water bodies, is the problem. It's all got to do with enforcement.
Not just enforcement. I think that as a nation, all of us have had ourselves in this. The champagne is imported. Most of these equipment are not locally made, so they are imported. They pay taxes on it. They go through our roads. There are checkpoints, various checkpoints, and they get into the community and they go into the forest. So if you take a bird's eye view of the activity of the galamsey, a lot of people will have to come into it. You go and arrest these miners. The people you are going to arrest are just the tip of the iceberg. Are you going to follow through to see how they got these equipment into the mining sites? and then punish everybody on the line?
Why not?
Is it something that governments are willing to do? Is it achievable?
You see, this is what HE said on their campaign. Remember, and you people took issues with him that, you see, if you want one excavator, no, hold on, just one excavator.
I gave you the opportunity. To be fair,
you find out the price of one excavator and see whether that young boy there can buy one excavator.
Why not? So you are here.
So national security will need to trace right to the very end of the value chain.
Why not?
Today it is the journalist that is coming out, and that you think
he has always been alongside.
So where is national security now? Where is the national security now? So question. Now it is an afterthought. Let's get the issue resolved. The issue must be resolved. All the talk is enough. Let's stop Galamsey now. So stop the Galamsey now.
We asked this before the election. And
are we still in election?
No, why? I like the fresh air.
Which fresh air? It's always been there.
Allow him to talk.
It's always been there. Yes.
The elections are over. Action is needed.
The elections are over. Action is needed. So we can go.
Action for you.
So let's go ahead and do it. Yes.
Here we are. The Tano and Ria Forest. It's a reserve. Mining is ongoing, as well as what really the plan is. 120 days.
Listen, I think on this platform,
yes,
I said
yes, sir.
that the issue of Galamsey is one of leadership. The issue of Galamsey is one of leadership. Simple. You asked a very good question. That is this not an issue of enforcement? Because when people do Galamsey, what they are doing is stealing the property of Ghana. That's exactly what they are doing. And so simply enforcing the law will solve this issue. And it can be done. You understand? Now, why did we fail in the Galamsey fight over the last 8 years, in spite of that beautiful thing the president said, I'm putting my presidency on the line? The biggest perpetrators of Galamsey in this country are the politicians themselves, both NPP and NDC. When Nanadu was president, in spite of clear reports, and case in point is Prof. Frimpong Boateng's report, he did not have the cojones to cause the arrest, enforcement of the law against his party bigwigs who were deep into Galamsey. Now, this report also says that certain elements within the NDC, not so, is that not the report? There are certain elements.
I didn't hear NDC.
No. So
governments. Elements in government.
So which government? The previous government.
No, this government.
Elements in this government, because that's the report.
Elements in this government.
Yes.
Have allowed.
Yeah.
Elements
in this government.
In the reserve.
So this will be a test.
Whoever the person is must know what John Mahama can do.
Let me land.
I'm just second warning.
Let me land. So now
allow
His Excellency John Mahama must remember that we do not vote for the NDC. We have not placed executive power into the hands of the NDC. We have placed executive power in the hands of His Excellency John Mahama. Now, a part of that executive power also means that per Article 257 of our Constitution, a trust has been created in him. He should not allow, in fact, he should deal with those elements. Because for me, that would be the easiest way to deal with this Galamsey issue. And also, let me comment my brother Eduji here. Because we saw a similar situation over the last 8 years, where elements in MPP, senior men in MPP said that we won't stop Galamsey today, we won't stop Galamsey tomorrow.
Fred says that era is past.
No, but you see that you see they will stop as elements in the MPP. Let me mention it.
Dr. Yu.
We had Dr. Yu, we had senior men in MPP. So I know. See, I just don't talk. No. Okay. You see, the problem we are going to face over the past 4 years is you have a situation where the biggest opposition party in Ghana here don't have credibility. They simply don't have credibility. Because will you listen to anybody in the MPP who comes and says, oh, what, the Galamsey? Listen, Ghanaians are going to oppose any attempt at Galamsey because for the MPP they don't have credit. And they couldn't talk. Wrong was being that they couldn't talk. Now, let me continue. Now, Eduji has giving a warning because there is a need for peer review within the party. There's a need for people within the ruling party.
No, if you're a member of the party
and it was unlike the past when people said, "Listen, we won't stop Galamsey today. We won't stop." This one, he's saying that listen, investigation must be done, and I'll add my voice to other call on the president that listen, the executive power is in your hands. It's not in the hands of the NDC. The trust that was created by the Constitution, Article 257. Creates in you as a trustee, and you see, let me also call on the institutions. So the Forestry Commission, what are they doing? Are they okay? The Forestry Commission, are you okay that right now the forest cover in this country is around less than 25%? Because when the Forestry Commission was formed in 1908, your mandate essentially was to preserve and conserve our forest. You understand? You have been given powers. So if people are mining in our forest reserves, Forestry Commission, what are you doing? Forestry Commission, what are you doing? So listen, a war is being waged against our country by all the perpetrators of Galamsey. A war which is creating an existential threat. A war that can cause this area of the world, the best area of the world, Ghana, to be practically inhabitable. Now, this war is a cause on every single person who loves Ghana, who is a patriot, to add not just his voice but his energies against this crime, this evil that's been done our country. And we'll sit down the same way we spoke against the irresponsible leadership of Nanado. We are going to call action on any kind of irresponsible leadership, a leadership that is adverse to the oath people in leadership take, an oath to want to be faithful to Ghana, an oath to preserve, defend, protect the constitution of Ghana, an oath to dedicate yourself to the well-being of every single Ghanaian. Because what this Galamsey does is that this Galamsey causes every single life in this country, causes every single biological asset, plants, animals, human beings, to be at risk. And this is a war that must be won. And so we are calling on Mahama, the same rod, the same pressure we gave on His Excellency Nanado will be placed on you. But I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by comments by my brother here, that if everybody will recognize that they are Ghanaians first before their political coloring, you understand, and call on people in leadership, irrespective of whether or not they belong to their party or not, to show fidelity to their commitment, then Ghana will be on the path to reclaim its position, its place, its rightful place as the Black Star of Africa. And that is the call today.
Well, the first warning has been given. And the warning is that they are in the forest reserve, right?
Well, and that's what I'm saying, and that's what we are calling on the president. That's what we are calling on the president. That's what we are calling on the president to act.
All those people yet. But I'm confident
that's what we are calling on the
various regional police
I know somebody in the legislature who has been
regions
fingered in this, but
I
want to verify this and then
let's see how it goes. But I can promise you that the fight against Galamsey is not going to be a walk in the park.
Why is it difficult?
No, you see, anything that involves economic,
it is not going to be a walk in the park.
That. I mean, it's like the fight against but you have to deal with it. Yes, you have to deal with it. So let's see how you deal with it. It's early days here. Let's see how you deal with it. We'll come back to this and then.
So you're saying the ball is in their court?
It is. We have. Otherwise, what next?
Let me have that incentive.
You have made the point clear. Now you are in government.
Sure.
The issue has come up again. Let's see how you deal with it.
The ball is in their court.
It is.
See, we have a lesson.
All right.
We had a president who put his presidency on the line. We will learn from the lessons why he put his presidency on the line and failed abysmally in that fight. It's a template that we will learn from and improve upon that. But what we will not permit is a situation where, as we speak today, we do not have our regional ministers who will be chairmen of the various RECSECs. We do not have our DCs who will be the chairmen of the various DISECs, MUSEC, and what have you. H.E. John Dramani Mahama is ramping up to get all these individuals in place. We still have the previous architecture, the district police commanders, the regional police commander is still in place.
I don't understand. You're saying that because these people are not in place, that's why the thing.
No.
In the forest.
No.
So what
I
are you
won't say
saying?
that. All that I'm saying is that those people will be dealt with decisively. But the security architecture currently is still what the IGP had put in place until we took over. We are yet to reshuffle the various regional police commanders, the various district police commanders. Familiarity breeds contempt. Sometimes, because you have stayed here for a long time, you become so, engaged with the persons involved in some of these activities. Okay. But I'm confident of one thing. John Dramani Mahama will deal with this matter decisively. I have no doubt at all. And by now, key persons have reached out to Erastus for further details and intel on these matters. I have no doubt.
Well, we'll see how that goes. And Shadrach, I sent you something. Let's see whether we can put up the lines and see. Let me just read a couple of comments. And I have this one. It's coming from a source. Hands are pointing on their... I'm told the chiefs will have demonstration and press conferences to mention their names of individuals behind the illegal mining in the forest reserve. Fantastic. And that's coming from a source within the area. And we'll see how that goes. Asamoah AJ from Kede says, you now see that the thing that we were mentioning and talking about, resolving all the issues about illegal mining in Galamsey, have now reared its head again. And you see the responses. They have to quickly nip it in the bud. Otherwise, when it escalates, it becomes a difficult issue. Philip Abuchi Keta says, illegal mining is a bad practice in Ghana. No wonder our river bodies look like Milo. Government should spend a lot of money, or government is going to spend a lot of money to treat water all the time. However, this new report should quickly be nipped in the bud. Hey, what's that idiomatic expression we have? All right. And Ikuamwa says, all the things that were done by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the Bawumia government were done in good faith. Indeed, one day we will look back and say that the implementation of free SHS was right, and then they will be vindicated. I believe in the "it is possible" mantra.
Even somebody said it is not possible.
Landlord, vulgar dealer, ultimately, the stagnation risk undermining the continent's vast potential. All right, I did read that earlier. And so we'll look at more messages. But for those who have sent us messages, we're grateful as many times as you can. Please make sure. So PHK, President Mahama and the NDC government are committed to making the free SHS better than what was inherited. The future is pregnant. Okay. And so we're waiting for that as well. Naneyao Sapong says, I'm taking on the authority as a management. Tell Doctor that yes, transfers could be a punishment. This is dependent on the reasons and the circumstances of the transfer. When the guidelines in the HR resource policy of the organization is set aside, when the transfer is influenced politically or managerially, that is problematic. Regards to Dr. Amankwasafo, Eduji Tamaklo, and Apia Dankwa, Naneyao Sapong. Naneyao Sapong, it's been a while.
How are you?
It's been a while. Let's see you at some point in time. But in the meantime, thank you, gentlemen, for passing through. Dr. Mankwasa, I hope we'll be seeing you very often, as many times as we can. Welcome back to Mainstream. Okay. I wish you all the best for the day. You've resumed office, right? I see that you've been traveling up and down.
John Mahama has a vision to reset Ghana.
All right. And Lawyer Pierre Dankwa, thank you as well. But please, we have cash out. It goes where Shoko star 439 has. Make sure that as many times as possible you increase the number of tickets you have, increase the number of stakes. And when it comes to all the things that need to be done, make sure that those tickets are increased. When we do the draws with option 2 as you choose, we're going to have money credited into your mobile money account. And again, it's with the short code *439#. Ramp up as many times as you can. Become one of those lucky winners. Not before I read this last one. Lawyer Richmond Roxon, good morning to you. Let me use the opportunity to congratulate my learned friend, on his appointment.
And good morning to my brother Godwin Tamaklo and Prosper. Chairman Prosper.
All right.
I think that today you didn't mention Chairman Prosper.
I mentioned him earlier in the morning. Okay. All right. So we're taking a break.
You're not the only one that can pull your leg.
Oh, no, that's fine. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll have more right here for you. We're looking at the latest sports headlines from 3 Sports and all that you can think about right here this morning. Stay with us right back.